Hey, so I want to tell everybody something. They just wondering if everyone understands the amount of human trafficking that used to be in China and the amount that's not anymore, and the reasons why they allow things to be flooded and stuff like that, and tell people that no, they didn't die. They're not there. They're in internment camps for touching children. I really wish China would actually start trading more information with us, and the reasons why they want to go to war isn't to be dominant and everything like that. That's the kind of like the whole bullshit that's actually promoted by most like pedophilic elitists and shit like that. There's like China's just trying to ruin everything for everyone. They're just trying to ruin everything, including pedophiles. So what's their problem, right? That's what China does. They realize that there are college kids being manipulated into doing a bunch of different kind of things, like working for democracy, even though like China is kind of like a technically democratic way. Like they're not shitty, they're not terrible. They just listen to one leader though. I hate that part, but understand that I don't hate that part completely because there are terrible people in China sometimes. But understand that there is a bad amount of racism. There's a huge amount of pedophilia. There are tons of cheaters that literally get away with everything they possibly can in America. So this is the reason why a lot of different people don't realize why China has cracked down on cheating on video games. Is because when you cheat on a video game, you can create a profile. That profile can be sold for money, and understand that it's sold usually on the black market or gray markets. People that don't really regulate certain things but find out information, and that's how sometimes the CIA and people take down huge leaders and sexual trafficking divisions. Understand that China believes that's not enough. They know it's not enough because people still wind up getting hurt after certain regimes are taken down as far as sexual trafficking goes. So that's the reason why China does what it does, because it's the reason why you'll find that there are certain Falun Gong members inside of certain internment camps that are being used for probably their organs, because it's the only thing they're fucking good for. They're terrible fucking people that abused or either neglected their children, and that's the reason why they only have a 1 to 2 children thing. Basically 2. Yeah, you can only have 2 children, basically. Because if you do have more than 2 children, you're fucking for no reason. You're just literally fucking for no reason. Why the fuck do you want so many kids? Why do you want so many people to know you have kids? It's something to investigate. It really is. People shouldn't have licenses to get kids, but to actually get kids, like to adopt or anything like that. But if they want more than 2 kids, then they have to be making a certain amount of money. I really think that that's the reason why America actually does the things that it does sometimes, and the reason why I think they have so many different corruption people who have corruption. They're just like, oh, we had 8 kids and fucking and most of those kids were traumatized by the age of 5 and shit, and that's kind of what China actually wants to stop. So don't understand oh my god, the reason why they were doing things is cost more money to get the organs faster. Yeah, because they're killing pedophiles and using them. So I'm just talking about China. If you want to listen, talking about how China's not that bad, and how we should not be going to war with China all the time. It's because sometimes they know things that other people don't. So a lot of times too, Russia knows a lot of different things that they don't actually say, and the reasons why a lot of people get away with things and they cheat on certain video games is to create certain profiles. So there are people that think they have standards and shit like that, like, oh, a cheater totally banned this dude. It's like, no, that dude is probably gonna tell on him for different things, and that's why he fucking made him lose money. People have certain different. It's like I don't get. There's so many things that people really don't understand. It's like, oh, if a girl likes a dude, then that's fine. There's no, when she's understand that Japan came up with a system basically in feudal Japan, is they would actually not sexual traffic. They would have men marry many women, or they would have a certain group of men, as far as samurai, knowing their honorability or nobility, because of their royal blood, sometimes because of certain families they were actually related to, they would actually use those men to marry certain girls who were of either a better nature or something of they were just a part of certain families. So that's why what they would do. They would marry them off at 14, and they wouldn't have kids until 23 or 25. That's the point. Is a lot of Asians knew about the human genome, the human conscious genome, and a bunch of different ways to be able to understand how different developing cities, and understand that why they would have certain kids as emperors, is because they would train them constantly in knowing and understanding certain different kinds of abuses. That's the reason why that a lot of times that they would see different emperors that were children. And it's like it doesn't matter if you don't trust him. He's not you're not gonna learn anything if you just fucking act like he's not doing the right job and then want to kick him out for no reason. I understand the reasons why people hated that. A lot of times the reason why people hated things is because they were pedophilic and didn't want kids in control. Because they thought that kids were in control, but they didn't understand that they were just finding out, like, hey, telling the kid would basically just watch people for some reason, or people would do recon, and the kid would come up with all this different stuff, and he would find out that there were pedophilic motherfuckers touching kids. So understand that's the reason why Japan and China are so very, very, very angry with people. It's the reason why so many people are like, yes, they're racist as shit. Why are they racist as shit? Because they want to protect kids. Understand DHS doesn't do nearly enough in America and to be able to stop actual kids from experiencing trauma and changing their lives forever, understanding that they will be like completely and utterly subservient to someone's in one day, and be able to understand their trauma and everything like that. And the reason why mental health really isn't as far as everyone thinks it is in America. So that's the reason why China hates everyone. It's the reason why China hates everyone all the time, every single day. So yes, you can be racist and still understand the reasons why you're racist is based somewhat on fact. So that's the reason China uses Falun Gong members, as well as that's where literal pedophilia initiates itself sometimes, in situations and places where people assume to be honorable. So we shouldn't be at war with China. We should be sharing information with them. There we go. So that's the reason why. I don't think we should be at war with China to begin with. I think that what a lot of people need to understand is that people in other countries do their own investigations on our presidents. And they understand why they were actually leaving certain places and going to certain places a whole bunch of different times. Were they trying to find out kids there? Were they trying to find different people to be able to understand or get certain things? So career politicians I'm always worried about every single time, is because they're always trying to control or sustain something. So that's the reason why I don't give a shit about the American government as much as they think I do. That's the reason why I don't give a shit about certain presidents as well, is because they promote certain different kinds of like invading children's space, like Joe Biden himself, also Trump, and also a bunch of different people who are just like out in the open about what they thought their either sexuality or anything was. The reasons why China doesn't speak a lot about that stuff is because you'll find that they were completely and utterly ruined by some people, and the reasons why certain people had died in World War II is because they were literally using kids to be able to promote all their stuff. So that's why. In certain Geneva Conventions, in certain Geneva Convention rules, they have a certain age group or a certain age stone on something like that. And there are people that in these certain, like, in certain groups and stuff like that, they're like, hey, you can't do this. You can't fucking use kids and your stupid, idiotic ploys to promote your propaganda. And propaganda isn't a bad word in most countries. And in Russia, it was a bad thing too. It was a really, really big thing. And also, what's really fucked up is a lot of times they would use serial murderers to kill people like that. And that's the reason why I don't think that they don't really understand where pedophilia comes from. It's a broken nostalgia. Okay, it's a broken nostalgia, and the reason why it's a broken nostalgia, it's fearing or envying a childhood or a place where in your life where things. So understand that there are certain kinds of serial killers that are also pedophilic. So realizing the people that are prone to violence are usually prone to. The reason why they're actually doing that or feeling those things is because eventually they become pedophilic. Eventually they start killing kids, and it's fucked up. And everyone just think that, oh my God, it's not going to happen. But that's where the mental strain goes. It's where the mental strain goes. It goes to where their childlike brain was, or when they decided to immediately start doing something because they were trained as a kid to be able to hurt people and stuff like that. So I myself wasn't trained to hurt people. I was trained to defend myself. I wanted to learn different kung fus and different things like that. My dad learned them. My dad literally learned almost all of them. And he realized that Asian people were pretty much on the forefront of actually stopping certain pedophilic notions. And that's the reason why my dad respected Asians. And he was also completely brought up by the Imperials. My dad was brought up by the Imperials when he was about 10 or 11, and he was in Seattle. He was actually trained too by the dude who trained Bruce Lee, and that's not a dude that anyone could fuck with. That's Ip Man. That's literally Ip Man. Like, yeah, like that's the dude. That's the actual dude, Ip Man. And I didn't understand how he was like some people depict him in certain kung fu movies as having a long beard and constantly stroking it or conditioning it or something like that. or they'll depict him with completely like clear face and he's just always just doing the right thing and shit like that. Understand there are certain notions of doing the right thing, and when you do the right thing, that it kind of is compared to certain people in the past that created or made kung fu. I kind of used blocking to be able to hurt people. I wanted to use blocking to be able to hurt people because I was so interested in judo when I was younger, and they didn't know, or nobody knew, that after completing 6 months in judo training, I was still training, and it was so much fun, completely fun. It wasn't just fun; it was just learning. I learned a philosophy within itself, and it was just like the best thing ever. I learned that there was a slow way to everything. There's a slow way to moving everyone in a certain direction, and realizing there are problem solving skills to be able to help people whenever they're feeling or hurt or feeling as though they have to hurt someone. So that's the reason why I believe that America takes its stances on the way that it does on everything, allowing people to do different things. But I know that China knows of different things, like China knows of different people that will play that game. They'll play that whole honorability game. They'll try to act like they're doing completely good stuff and everything like that, and then they'll immediately do something terrible. And they've seen it many times before with Japan insurging Korea. There were tons of actual people who were gangsters. In the Vietnam War, there were tons of drugs. Everyone was in pain constantly, and there wasn't enough pain pills to go around, so people started using opium and opioids in certain dens and certain places and stuff like that. And that's what happens basically is these dudes basically got this whole fucking idea of like, but understand there were certain things in Vietnam that nobody really liked about Vietnam, is the fact that there were tons of sexual trafficked villages. There were people who would sexually traffic little girls, 13, 14, 15-year-old girls, and then they would use them to either please certain soldiers. And the fucked up part about it is they were actually, sometimes they're even related to them, or like, it's fucked up, man. It was really fucked up. So that's the reason why there's so many people that really died in Vietnam, is because there were tons of villages that were constantly being used by other people or by the people who were living there to be able to promote sexual trafficking. And China hates sexual trafficking. So understand the reasons why we disagree with each other on certain terms. And there are certain things that cheaters in video games, namely this one and many others, to be able to create certain profiles and be able to sell them on the black market and make money. So that's kind of what needs to be done in America. I believe that we shouldn't enslave people or anything like that are in religion, because there are certain Catholics and people that have been able to understand that and there are certain people in Catholicism that we have an established religion that doesn't try to hurt people, because there are people out there that think that just Catholics are just completely pedophilic and stuff. And most of them aren't, but that's the point, is a lot of different Catholics, they choose to believe that pedophilia is a mental illness, and in most cases it is, and they believe that they need treatment and therapy to be able to be completely normal people. I believe that sometimes they will never be normal people, and that's the reason why I believe that China is doing a better stance on it. And also, people who are getting completely and utterly their organs taken out most of the time in China are people who have literally done violent, terrible crimes to people over a certain amount of years and terrified families. So understand that the act of terrorism in China is not just hurting people, it's also terrifying people, making them believe that a certain reality exists inside or around a governmental ability. And the reason why corruption isn't high there, as far as them believing that corruption isn't high there. there are tons of things that do work, and the reasons why they were flooding certain things and in dams is because no one was there. Everyone in there was in jail. They were in jail. They were all in jail. Everyone was like, they're dying. They're totally dying. And they're not saying anything about it because those people are in jail. Those villages were not being used for good things. Their fathers or their sisters or their brothers were fucking their dads or some shit. And they want to stop incest. And if you want to actively stop incest, that's one of the things you have to use. That's just you have to. Like, because there are kids out there that are curious, and all they've ever been around is their families. There's a big tradition in staying with your family in China, and that's the reason why they actually do those things. And the reason why they actually hate us, and the reason why they started putting money into our things, start investigating certain people. So like Obama with his children, they constantly are always part of fashion and everything. So I understand that that's what they were investigating. They were investigating us. They were investigating the American government. They were just saying the American government is shitty because of all these things going on and people not understanding or even realizing that they're even going under their nose. So that's the reason why it looks embarrassing. So our presidents aren't particularly embarrassing, but they blame it on our president, understanding that, oh, he's the main honcho, and it's like, no, he's not. There's people who need to understand in China that we do not care about the president at all. He doesn't give a shit about any of us. He gets paid $250,000 a year, and that's all. And also free food, that's all. And amenities. It's like he's staying at a hotel. That's all he's doing. He's staying at a hotel for a certain amount of time because one of his businesses went under. And that's all there is. So, like, there are misconceptions, I think, a lot when it comes to China, and we really should be understanding that if they have a problem with Taiwan, it may be a reason that the reason that they're not acknowledging that as a country is because they might have problems with sexual trafficking, and we might need to actually even look into that to begin with too. So I'm gonna get some water, and I'm gonna continue this. So. I also do believe that a lot of times China doesn't like the way our celebrities actually talk sometimes, or work, or things like that, or do things, because there are a lot of sexual overtones sometimes, and China wants to shelter kids. I guess I'm guessing to be able to do. They believe that behavior breeds more of that behavior. But they have to understand is that behavior, it doesn't do that. It breeds questions from children. And if they're completely told the lies of everyone else, is they get curious about it sometimes. So understanding certain mental health issues and realizing that children are constantly curious about everything all the time. No matter if they're doing something or not, they're always thinking about something else because they're smart little bastards that do evil shit all the time. And also they're all racist. So understand where your racist came from. It came from kids that had kids that were in the same culture. And then they always just thought that culture was honorable because they met those people. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. The truth about certain mental processes and realizing that we're not going to be going to war with China anytime soon is because that's the reason why Joe Biden, the person who shares dumb name with people who might be in the area of here, because my name's Joe. But Biden decided that he was going to do those things. He was going to constantly try to piss off China. A lot of Democrats do that. They like to piss off other countries so we can either go to war with them or we can start trading with them or other things like that. They wonder what they feel like or how they're going to piss them off. The reason why China decided to send that war note out is because they want to murder Joe Biden. They really just want to murder him. If everyone wants to move out of the way and just be like, hey, if you really want to like piss off another country by like speaking whispers into children's ears and constantly going up to women and just being like, hey, it's called that's the reason why they want to kill Joe Biden. So I'm not saying anything else on that matter. I'm realizing that there are a lot of different reasons why certain religions are in things because of people using them for a lot of different stuff. So even though they're in indentured servitude, I just believe that they should be paid more money. And I believe that most of it should be accessible when they finish their actual program. And people to understand them to be not like completely shitty people, because that's what they're doing. It's not corruption. It's not and it's not slavery. It's these people were victims of a sexual trafficking thing. They want to protect them from being used by sexual trafficking. Hence the reason why they don't hurt Christians as much, because they're an established religion. So yeah, that's the reason why. So and the reason why Tiananmen Square happened is that person was insane. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna totally fucking stop this whole fucking thing from happening, guys. Marvel is like my fucking spirit animal, and I'm gonna stop and make shields to stop the water hoses for like 5 minutes, and then you're gonna go tired, and they're gonna squirt you fucking down, you dumb bitch. I'm super pissed about people who constantly get into protests and act like everything is on the line. And it's like, no, everything would be on the line if you had written anything down, but you fucking didn't because you didn't want to get caught. And that's the reason why they're dumb. So I don't hate everything about Xi Jinping. I don't hate everything about Vladimir Putin. I hate the fact that he did groom a girl and then have sex with her, but he might have been in love with her. I don't know. The point is that a lot of times that's what would happen in feudal Japan. A lot of different times they would marry girls off at 14, or they would have a certain place where they had sex. And they realized that didn't stop anything, but it stopped women from being abused. That's all. That's all that it stopped. It didn't stop men from constantly trying to use them for other things or trying to sell them to their friends or something like that. But it stopped every single woman that was actually in the building from being abused and hurt from different men who had these weird fucking fetishes and thought that they could control people. So that's the reason why they did that in feudal Japan. There are a lot of different reasons why people did things in certain eras, because they didn't trust anyone, but they still wanted to be able to make money. So a lot of times that women would not sell themselves, but they would literally give themselves to not do anyone in the thing, but they would kind of marry off to a certain either boss of a situation, management, and then when they became age worthy, they would completely and utterly. And so these things where these heroes are going in, saving a girl from being hurt, from these terrible things, never happened. And that's Hollywood magic. Because everyone just assumes that the dude fighting every single person and punching them in the mouth and breaking their ribs is just the best person ever. But no, that person is super violent and should be nowhere near anyone. He protects elephants? What the fuck is that for? Elephants are violent, shitty heads. They're dumbasses. What about an elephant being any? And I don't think that, like, when I get angry, I blame everyone. So that's the reason why, because you exist here, and that's the fucking reason why it happens. So that's the reason why I get angry. I get pissed off at everyone because they're not acknowledging the truth, including Native Americans, and they just got $1 billion for all their reservation stuff. So hopefully they use it in the right directions, and hopefully not for fucking dark web bullshit and drugs and stuff, because that's the reason why they'll lose if they do. So I get pissed off sometimes when it comes to like certain people's lives and stuff like that. You want to define someone's life, you want to inspire them, but you don't want to understand who they are or where they come from or anything like that. You don't realize that like that kind of situation is just leaving this world. It's not really the people really aren't understanding what they're doing as far as like inspiring someone. Brad Pitt's not that influential anymore. He's old. So he has to like, he's typecasting these old dudes just like, I've been around the block. And like, what the fuck are you talking about? You were in Ocean's 11 5 years ago. or 10 years ago, depending upon when it was shot. It pisses me off sometimes that people just don't really get like what a real country is actually going for. Like, oh, you want the people to actually get angry and arms up against you. It's like, it's going to take a lot for like people who are Southerners to actually take up arms against you, because sometimes they don't want to waste the bullets. And they don't want to. They really do not want to. They're just like, this shit is expensive. What the fuck are you talking about? Like. And what I'm saying is that China isn't as bad as people say they are. Okay, they may use people for organs, but those people are terrible people. They're terrible, terrible people who have proven themselves to be not only assholes. I want this information out there sometimes, but it's just literal clues that everyone's kind of putting out there. You see that women are being hurt, women are being beaten, certain civil things that cops can't get into in America. And understand that you can stop that all just literally by just imprisoning them like for an extended amount of time because of them understanding that yes, certain mental issues completely and utterly connects to their society and hinders it constantly. So they have a certain way of doing things and we have a certain way of doing things. Most of them are really similar, because understand that there's a revolving door around there's a revolving door around mental issues sometimes because of certain people who really shouldn't be allowed in society. They really, really shouldn't. Like, they should not be allowed to be able to participate in other people's actions and stuff like that. It pisses me off when people don't realize that fact. Or they're just like, yeah, mental stuff is a revolving door, and it's like, you change that. It's like, no, I don't want to change that. There's some people that just deserve to be in a hospital for the rest of their life. There really are. There are terrible people who just act like they're just the best person, and until no one's watching them, and then they pull their dick out, and then like they just act like it's normal, and you're like, wow, that person's just pulled his dick out. I'm gonna throw him out of the room when he pulls his pants back up. I'm not gonna touch his dick. It's really annoying to me and a bunch of different people that is like. I know it's annoying. I know it's freaking annoying just to deal with those people on a regular basis, and it's absolutely annoying. There are people out there that are just shitty. They believe they can get away with anything because we're free, and that's what people need to understand, is that no, we're not free. We have never been free since the Selective Service decided to do whatever it did. Since World War I, we've never been free. just to let you know about that. That whole situation is like. The reason why we're not free is the reason why we're constantly and utterly put under a scrutinizing evaluation when it comes to either military service or just war in general. So understand that there are certain people that want to kill these terrible pedophiles, and they will do so. Oh, no. I'm dead. Well, the same guy killed me. Awesome. Or the same guy with the spider shit, because they're assholes and they cheat all the time. Because that's how he got that fucking grenade in there, I'm sure. Yeah, so understand, even in this game, there are terrible cheaters. And these people make money off these things that are lucrative businesses that constantly and utterly promote certain things on the dark web. And the CIA, the NSA, and all those other different people have constantly been doing it, but they've literally been keeping everything secret for a very long time. Hence the people who take acid. They would take certain people who are at risk for certain different mental differences, and they would try to make them better, and then they didn't because they were idiots. Understand that a prolonged usage of phones will probably make us telepathic. Yeah. certain different kinds of different technologies when we're close to something will give us powers. We'll be sensitive to certain different vibrations, and we can actually hear conversations in our own mind. Because technically, we're all built by androids. I just believe that that's the reason why we don't have a written history back in those days, past all the Egyptians and the assholes that decided that they were going to create things in the desert and everyone was going to have a good time. And it's like, no, that's why the palm trees are there. It's letting you know that that's the last tree in the desert. That's the last one. That's the reason why there's no coconuts on that thing, because it's so hot that even the palm trees cannot give you fucking food. They can't. They can't give you food. That's the reason why there were so many diseases constantly, because everyone kept shitting themselves. When people got diarrhea, they just assumed they had a curse. So what they would do was get really, really close to them and then spread the disease, because they're fucking dumb. And that's why they wrote on walls and tried to tell everyone about all the bad things that happened. Because they almost all died. It's like, Egyptian culture is just so amazing. And there's so many different hieroglyphs. It's like, you understand, when people come up with things, it's a time of emergency. Usually when people come up with a written language, they're coming up with something so they can make people, like, do things that they want them to do. It's to tell them things, because I'm grunting and oohing isn't going to help them anymore. It didn't tell them to pick up that stick and beat the shit out of that wolf that's trying to kill their child. So that's what happened. Okay? That's exactly what happened. I make myself laugh with jokes all the time and have terrible, terrible laugh. So it's fine. I'm fine with it. So realize what China's doing. The reason why Bill Clinton got into that whole thing to begin with, because he hates pedophiles, but he obviously has sex with interns. She was of age. It was fine. But it was just bad, and they frowned upon it. He was the only DILF, I guess. So that anyone would like to fuck, I guess. Or GILF, because he was a grandfather. When it happened. I'm saying that there are certain parts of the world that don't allow certain access to certain relationships. I understand that, oh my God, there's so many accesses to drugs and things like that. There are constant cheaters on video games in China, and you can totally make money from them. You make money literally so easily from actually just literally cheating on a video game. Because there's so many video games that actually allow money to come in. And people are just like, oh, $12 billion just went away. It's probably all the money they spent on killing all those fucking pedophiles. Or all those assholes that were giving their money away to people who they didn't even fucking know. On like servers and shit like that were just like, oh yeah, he's totally cool. He said his name was Babyfucker 401. But I'm sure he's okay. It's like, yeah, you assholes did something stupid. You didn't fucking realize it. And then China came after you. It was like, I need to run away. And then that's what happened to a bunch of different people from China that ran away. And not to them, just America, but many other countries. And that's probably how the virus even became to begin with. Understand that there are certain people who have millions of dollars, billions of dollars in the mafia, and they're probably the ones that even promoted this actual virus to begin with. You ass nugget. You fucking ass nugget. I didn't even care. But that's the reason why I wanted to get this idea out. Because we gotta let everybody know that no, we're not going to war with China. Let everyone know that we're not going to war with China at all. Everyone's not going to have a great time after the fucking war happens. There are going to be pedophiles that are going to be killed. And that's the only reason why. That's the reason why, because their Falun Gong literally is dumb. Like, I don't know what their religion is about. They've never really told anyone what their religion is about. Accepting people for who they are. And what? Like, I don't accept anyone for who they are. Why would you accept anyone for who they are? Like that? Are they stealing people? Are they R-ing people? They are stealing people? I understand that there are jokes that people come up in other countries about our language, and I'm using those jokes right now. Hence the reason why, no, I don't hate people in other countries. I don't assumptively hate people. I hate people in underdeveloped countries that believe that they just are the best and the best way to go because they're all Amish and shit like that. And no one's going to throw a hurricane at them because technology is a sin. It's like, no, technology helps you understand the faces of people. And understand that's why I'm coming up with different facial recognition things in China that we're totally fucking buying. So understand that there are people out there that do different things and they hate people. And we are working with their actual military. Where nobody's going to war, guys. Everyone's going to understand that certain sexual trafficking guys are going to understand that's the reason why that China set up those certain things in America, to be able to make traps for certain child molesters that are just big and understandably they move a lot of stuff. The Epstein's list, baby. I'm sure they got it from him and then killed him. That might have been China. I don't know. It could have been China. I would thank them if I saw them. So. Because I have nieces and I don't want them to turn into prostitutes. And, yeah. And my sister is a piece of shit asshole that is a horrible person and I hate her. I love my nieces and if anything bad ever happened to them, I would fuck the world up. There would be a hole somewhere where that dude stood. There will be a hole. There will be an actual hole. And hopefully that hole would burn with fire for the rest of eternity. Oh wait, that's already one. Hopefully I didn't do it in another life. Or maybe I did and I just forgot about it. And that's the reason why I'm just completely peaceful right now. Because that dude's burning in another dimension somewhere, just constantly on fire. I like to think that I avenged something that happened with my nieces and stuff like that in a former life. I like to think that I'm a good person. I like to think that my character, Nobu Ichikara, that I fucking use as a fucking thing is like, he's a Sith Lord in the actual Star Wars. I understand that Sith Lords don't talk to each other though. Sith Lords are just Sith Lords, are just powerful characters and stuff like that. Not really anything, so. I gave him the last name because I thought it would be funny. Everybody called him Nobu. I was like, why doesn't he have a last name? Ichikara. Well, just put it there. Just put it there. You may have a Japanese fucking dude that uses the Force. That'll be pretty tight. Or the Force is, because there's tons of them. I would call them the Forces. I really would, because I think that's what the Greys call them, basically. They call them the Forces, basically. And they're not used by people who are evil and good. They're used by people to be able to create balance in a situation and also kill pedophiles. So understand that's probably the reason why that lady called the hospital and said, how can I get organs really fast? And it's just like, more money. Because there's Chinese people killing pedophiles in jail. And why the Tiger Chair probably is not retired. They even know how many people have said that it's retired. I don't know why they would retire it. They want to torture these motherfuckers as much as possible to get information out of them, obviously. But the information is not confirmed, obviously. But it's useful in any of its forms. I understand that there is no reason to live in the desert. Hence the reason why I will always be suspicious of everyone that lives in the desert. Not in America, because there's actually like irrigation systems. There's actually like, we like cactuses. It's the reason why it's cool. Be weird, Austin. It's like, no, I'm not going to be weird. I'm going to be like really, really upfront and understand why an older man would like to completely and utterly hang out with children on a podcast. I don't really give a shit why he would do that. I just want to know the reason, because if there's a really, really good reason, then I want to murder him. Like, I really don't want him to exist. I think that this dude named Bernie Burns is probably like covering up his real name and then acting like, yeah, that's the main reason why I hate Rooster Teeth, because there's an old 40-year-old dude who wants to hang out with 22-year-old guys and play video games all the time. Yeah, I don't want to hang out with older fucking dudes and play video games. I don't think that is a fucking hobby. They make stupid games for old dudes. They make fucking, like, what is it, Minesweeper, what is it, I'm a fucking dumbass, and my name's Jack, or something like that, and the devil, I guess. They just love the devil on Rooster Teeth for no apparent fucking reason, I guess. But somehow they give to charity for children all the time. Extra life. Thanks, guys, for the extra life. I wonder why they constantly always say that, like, oh, it gets closer to the thing. We're gonna put the devil on, or put Jackson get more evil and more evil. It's like, yeah, awesome, yeah. And then you out, like, what, the dude that's like grooming girls. That's like the worst thing that's happening there. I don't fucking think so. I really don't fucking think so. I think there are actual, like, poly couples that probably had sex with a bunch of different minors and stuff like that. Which is why 50 people were probably fired in the first place. And then you don't want to talk about that on the fucking podcast when you actually make the podcast. But you want to talk about all the other things you had to deal with personally, Mr. What's his name? Jeff? Or Jeff Hoff? Get off of that girl. Get off of that younger girl you're fucking because your wife doesn't know. Get off of that. Get off. That's what it is. Get off of that girl, Jeff. That's what that is. That's also the reasons why I don't really respect a lot of people in the world, because a lot of times when they are famous, they do stupid shit. And also, Aerosmith fucked a 16-year-old girl. Aerosmith fucked a 16-year-old girl. The whole band, probably. Steven Tyler fucked a 16-year-old, had an affair when he was married to a 16-year-old girl. And that's why I don't care about his stupid big mouth. I don't care about anything having to do with big mouths. Big mouths don't really attract me at all. Big smiles attract me, but big mouths don't. Like women who are able to show their teeth and then understand that if, like, a dude tries to fuck a woman's face, that's the reason why I don't really like that TikTok, like, fuck my face sort of thing. I don't really like those things at all. I'm not kind of like into that. I want to fuck their face. I want them to suck my dick, but I don't want to fuck their face, because if I fuck their face, then they'll choke, and I don't want them to choke. I think women who want to choke have been abused and traumatically used in order to be able to help someone, and that's the reason why I don't like that shit. And if you find love while you're being humanly trafficked, it's perfectly fine. Just understand that you'll have to be in not jail while that person's in jail eventually. And if you like that, then you're probably a lesbian and you don't know it. Most women who are actually even sexually trafficked wind up being lesbians out of literal fucking hatred for dudes. So, yeah, this literally happens. It's just women's are like, oh my god, I'm so curious. I just don't. It's just so appealing to me. Why is it so appealing to you? Because dudes have used you all the time for everything you are. That's the reason why. Stop acting like you're a full-on lesbian or just love women all the time. And now I'm just bi because I like dudes as well. It's like, no, you're also making traumatic experiences, but you're just choosing not to make a decision. Like, all these people are just like, I just love the fact of little boys putting on girls' stuff. You know? I just like that. I like that. Let there be more of me. Copies, I guess. I get so pissed off when people start making certain assumptions about kids and acting like they should be something when they don't need to be anything for you. They don't need to do anything for you, and they should stay off social media, because people are annoying and people are stupid and they think that they can influence children one way or another. If they're being held by an abusive father that feeds them and bathes them and helps them learn their ABCs, but they're totally not paying attention to the fact that you said something earlier. And that's what people are saying is actively not being racist, is giving to charities that you don't fucking fully know the actual intentions of, and constantly helping people. Oh my god, you're helping everyone by giving money to people who constantly and utterly launder it to buy their fucking houses. Or, I don't know, just fucking like, don't do that, because people are dumb and they'll try to use you. I get pissed off when people are just acting like everything's just so fucking amazing. And the reason why America is just so bad is because if all they wanted to do is make money. It's like, yeah, that's the reason why we have a military that goes to Afghanistan and what doesn't steal their oil, sets it on fire because it's bad. Oh, is that you think while we were going to go to Iraq for our oil, or the billions of dollars they funded into their country and then stole from us, and that's why we took it back? So that's probably the real reason. I'm just guessing that that's the real reason, but I'm sure that's the real reason because literally they made a movie off of it, and they showed you what they did. They stole billions of dollars from the American government, and then used it and funded stuff, and so that America was backing them. Also using sexual trafficking. So if you're into sexual trafficking, then you just understand that's what happened. So that's what we do. We avenge things when things go wrong. But China doesn't do that. It stops all the problems before it ever happens. That's why that kid got a butt to the fucking head, a gun butt, and he started to bleed. And he started to feel things, because he was probably on drugs. And that's why you see that gray face sometimes inside some kids that are just like totally fucking like amazing. You know what they do? They take a bunch of amphetamines and all the blood rushes out of their face. So understand that when the blood all rushes out of your face, it gets really gray and white. So if you use it for a while and you get really numb, then that's what your face color is. And that's the reason why I'm worried about certain people in Israeli governments, because they're probably using to be able to get away from the pain of being in the desert constantly, not realizing that certain different sun particles don't give them vitamin D. It gives them a bunch of different hot-headedness, and they have like certain temperatures in their head constantly, and their brain can never rest. So that's usually the reasons why they're on death's door and they're constantly taking opioids. Or barbiturates. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't understand what they were. I was ignorant. I didn't understand, and I was wrong. But I'll be better. Okay? I love using Southern accents and being smart, because nobody knows that we were smart. We were all lawyers back in those days. There's like lawyers are sharks, so that's why they were scared of us, and they kept saying that we were stupid. Because they wanted to create a version of us that was good for them, that would make us feel like we were terrible and they were better, because they were from the north and they won. I understand that there were people at plantations. They were actually watching the war, watching a bunch of people die for no fucking reason. And the actual Southerners who actually had this like actual accent, they didn't give a fuck about the world. And that's why they were there before the actual American anything, or any treaty at all whatsoever. Hence the reason why we have so many Native American names in the South, and not assholes named Jimmy Bob. So that's why it's not Jimmy Bob fucking goddamn thing, because that Jimmy Bob turned out to be a pedophile and a serial killer, and he was luring children to his house to hurt them. So we killed him with Native Americans. Who are us? I am Native American on both sides of my family. I'm two different tribes. I am Apache and I'm also Cherokee. So that's the reason why I hate on certain people who believe that they should get their fucking card all the goddamn time. I don't give a shit about a card. Never gave a shit about a card to begin with, because nothing about a card makes me Native American. Nothing about being on a reservation makes me Native American, because most of them didn't live on reservations or villages or anything like that. They were called nomads. They would change when the seasons changed. Hence the reasons why some people actually had a what's that thing called? Treaties, because they knew that they were not enough as far as being able to create a society and base a society off of things, because they weren't all the races. Okay, so what they made and people they fucked, they were related to. So those are the people. The other ones were insane, who took drugs all the time and tried to scalp people. So that's why those people died. So that's why they always kind of do the little show for you and act like they're gonna fucking protect all the women and shit like that, because they're my women and I'm a man. Like, it's what happens sometimes. People are just really fucking dumb, and I really, really do bless their heart. How's it going? What's up? Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I'll go to the store. I don't give a shit about this game right now. I'm just gonna put it down. So, all right. I need to go. I need to get some cigarettes too. Is it okay if you buy me some or no? Can you buy me some cigarettes until I get paid on Friday? Thank you so much. I'll pay you back. I promise. All right. I am. I'm gonna pay you back. I'm gonna use my money to buy you cigarettes and stuff like that and wine. All right. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Actually, you know what? I have $5 though. So okay. All right. So I'm going to leave right now. I'm gonna go down right now and understand that not every single government is constantly cracking down on pedophilia and terrible things, but nobody knew about the virus, and that's the point. Is the pedophiles know about the virus a lot, but somehow all the scientists didn't know anything or share anything until the virus actually got here. So I'm suspicious of that always, all the time. There was no versions of a hurricane pattern of anything, so I'm always suspicious of them. Especially Anthony Fauci and all this bullshit that he says, and you're lying, and I'm not lying, and blah, blah, blah. And also, what's the point of saying you're not lying and you're not lying if you don't want to say any fucking facts, Anthony Fauci? Do you want to say something that matters? You want to understand that before all this happened, if people knew all this, it would be fucking all right. But no, the CDC was saying it all the time. I didn't have to say anything. Well, good. You didn't have to say anything, and that's why you're an infamous person instead of a famous person. Just like Trump. Because you're probably on the same fucking Epstein list too. Assholes. All right. Made it to an hour and 19 minutes. Oh. What's fucked up and crazy about some things is that you may allegedly think a celebrities actually touch kids or something like that, when it's actually the entire production team. I really think that people don't really get, like, how many people are that are actually pedophiles that are in Hollywood. It's like the one celebrity gets blamed for it, and everyone gets a scapegoat to act like they never did anything. But there's no real evidence or really any courts that actually do anything. So what happens is the celebrity has enough money to be able to cover it up, or to say that it never happened for him, even if it did happen with him or it didn't happen with him. So it doesn't matter if the celebrity is guilty or not. What matters is the production team did it first. Like and that's why even to this day I still do not like any form of media that as far as movies go. I don't inherently watch movies all the time. I don't, because I have never been given this false sense of sobriety on every single fucking celebrity that even comes my way. Oh my god, this is so good. Chocolate and caramel cake cookies. Fucking phenomenal. So, the reason why I think that people don't get, the reason why I'm saying that not only did did they do it, but the production team probably did it too. So the people that were actually promoting Kevin Spacey were all just randomly probably getting involved in child pornography, dark web, because it's a lucrative business if people don't understand. It makes millions and billions and billions and trillions of dollars. So, the reason why I hate America, and like China a little bit more, is because of that. So the point is, America lacks, what's it called, recon, a lot. A lot of cops are seen to make presence things, like even in New Orleans sometimes. They'll have somebody be a part of a presence, and that's how they'll save money, is they'll have a deputy basically sit at a desk constantly at a place that usually doesn't have cops there to stop crime. But what happens is the crime still gets perpetrated. And the reasons why the crime still gets perpetrated is there's tons of people doing recon. People who are serial killers, people who are pedophiles, people who are terrible fucking people. And the reasons why I don't like a lot of the reason why our mental things aren't in place to be able to help people who have those certain disabilities and make them feel better is because it's a revolving door, basically. And they just shove medication down your throat and actually change all your medication within a 12-month period while you're in the hospital, and you get out and you're completely different. Your personality is completely different. You don't feel the same, and you feel hurt, basically. You feel like you're being used by a system that constantly throws you to the ground. So what happens is disabled kids that don't do anything wrong, that are actually good people, they get tortured and murdered for things that pedophiles do. And also get thrown to the curb every single time they're actually like having a hard time or something like that, and it sucks because, I mean, they're not connected to anyone at all anymore. They can't be helped by anyone. They can't be manipulated into believing that they're a good person, because you have to manipulate someone to believe they're a good person sometimes if they're willing to go as far as killing themselves or doing so stupid fucking drugs all the time. The reason why I love messing with my friends is because they're inherently suicidal. Most of them. If I hadn't been their fucking friend, they probably would be dead by now. And that's what I had to understand, is that's the kind of friend that I thought was good and I thought was awesome, is people who literally want to hurt themselves and you stop them from hurting themselves. That's how awesome people can be. company can be. And it's not because of them like, oh my God, they're just terrified because everyone's going to know they're a pedophile. It's just, no, they're not pedophiles. They're not every single person you believe to be a pedophile is. And that's the reason why I have certain different reservations with China about certain things they do. Because not every person is sort of depressed about certain things in their life, or they haven't seen enough porn or some shit like that. The reason why people are actually depressed sometimes is because of them not being able to fulfill certain dreams in their life, not being able to do different things and have dreams and then understand those dreams to be completely and utterly bullshit when someone comes up to them and tells them they just don't believe in them and tries to completely ruin their life. But sometimes like my mom did. I understand my mom decided to keep me out of like the public eye because I was a very smart kid and I was very susceptible to and sensitive to people's lies and their bullshit, and she didn't want to be associated with that kind of person, so she decided to turn me into a hermit. So that's what she did. I would hear things from her. She said she didn't say, and she constantly said different things that I know she said. Like when I was 5 years old, she told me that I was never going to become an artist and I should stop doing what I'm doing now. But she never says she said that. So she didn't say that. That was someone else. Cool. I was a 5-year-old, but I had schizoaffective disorder, complete and utter. Then, because it's not fully developed any deficiency. That's why kids shouldn't try to be sexually active or sexually ambiguous in any manner, because their brains don't process what sexuality is. Sexuality is not your identity. Sexuality is the soup of the day. It's like the thing you like today is probably not the thing you like tomorrow, because if you think it's a choice, if you think it's not a choice, if you think it's not a choice and an instinct, your instincts can change on a daily basis, because we're humans. We've constantly gone through those things through evolution and or adaptation or creationism, like everyone likes to call. Adaptation through manipulation. Good job. Awesome. Great, everyone. Good jobs getting all that hair off your bodies. Yeah, cool times. Manipulation through adaptation is creationism. Whoop-de-doo. They proved it. They totally proved it, man. They're totally right. Also, check their pockets. They might have pornographic images in their pockets. Always check their pockets. Because creationism is inherently wrong and inherently manipulative all the time. Every single day of every single person's life, you're being manipulated into believing that something is bigger than you, something that you think and can also change, and know that the love of someone can protect you from anything. No, it can't. It cannot. All love has conditions. Understandably so, that condition is loving Jesus Christ, and that's how you'll get his love. So that's what the condition is. They say that Jesus doesn't have any conditions on his love, but they're lying, because that's inherently the actual thing you're actually agreeing to. It's called a scam. They take away 30% of your actual income. It's called a scam. They're untaxable. It's called a scam. Don't believe assholes that think that your religion is something they can make money off of. And I'm sure that's what Jesus probably really intended to begin with. If Jesus even existed at all. So, understandably, he probably wasn't a prophet at all. Even Muhammad was not a prophet. It is just merely a status inside of a cultural anomaly. So, an emergencies that happen, and someone that is constantly on call to be able to do different things and say different things to people to give them perspective. So really, they're just inspirers. All of your stupid gods, every single one of them, are just people that inspired you. Gilgamesh, a whole bunch of different people who inspired you. So they inspired you. They're not your gods. They're not a god. Stop trying to make them a god. That's why they make fun of things on South Park and make him look like a dreidel, because that's it. Because that's all. Kids were bored. People were bored. They made little games. Dreidel. I made you out of clay. Dreidel. I'm freaking Hebrew gay. Like, that's what it is. That's what happens. Like, that's all. It turns kids gay. Because they're stupid and they're dumb. And old people don't know how to make games for kids. Hence the reasons why all of them wanted to be able to make kids for games. Hasbro, sorry. What is that? What is that movie? Like, sorry for all the child pornography? Is that what it's sorry for, Mr. Hasbro? Monopoly on all the child pornography. It's just get into this wonderful, complete and utter amazing thing that everyone just decides to believe it is a complete disease and it needs to be helped and stopped. It's like, no, if it's a disease, then people need to die for it. That's what China did. So understand that using American logic, that's what China did. Destroying all pedophiles every single day. Even the behavior or even the history of them. And that's probably why we have an unwritten history to begin with. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah was terrible. It's like, you know why it was terrible? Because they were raping kids. That's the reason why it was terrible. It didn't matter if the two dudes wanted to fuck. It's the fact that they would allow and completely and utterly make children. That's Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm telling you what really happened. I'm telling you the understandability of the architectural and archaeological finds of what actually happened. They had people holding children in certain areas, and then they had nothing. So understand that, no, not every family was there. There were people who were holding their lovers. Understand that if in every single house you see a family, understand that's the reason why you would understand them to have a generalistic terms of the word family near them, because of lots of families that live there. If there is one child and an adult holding each other because of them believing that the end is near, it is a person holding their lover, a person who loves them, their son or daughter. Because that's what they would use in olden times. And that's the reason why certain people killed themselves, namely Anthony Bourdain. Because he found out his girlfriend is an absolute pedophile. Or she outed him as a pedophile because they didn't want to live in the shadows anymore. And really, it's an accepted behavior. It's not. It's never an accepted behavior. They can never call themselves MAPS. I don't know why they want to call themselves MAPS. It's called molestation across pedophilia and sick. It's very sick in the brain. People are sick in the brain sometimes, and that's the reason why. And also, the reason why I'm not actually fully schizoaffective, and people don't understand this, is just I just didn't like reality. It is a difference between being not caught between two realities, but believing that reality doesn't exist. Hence the reason why some people believe in the Matrix a lot. Those people are schizoaffective, and they believe that this simulation is doing things. Those people are schizoaffective. They don't understand that those people are schizoaffective, but you'll understand later. And you'll realize that, no, I just was terrified of all of reality because every single person decidedly was a fucking pedophile to me. Every person, every single dude who had a girlfriend that was babysitting kids that I was a part of, I decided to fucking call him a pedophile. I wanted to figure out whether he was a pedophile or not. Hence the reason why I would ask questions and piss them off all the time. Because I was a little asshole. That's what I fucking did. I was a little dumbass, and that's what I fucking did. I literally took risks all the time. Constantly judging people all the time. And that's what children do. They judge in their mind even if you think they don't judge. They still judge all the time. You say, don't judge this person because they're really, really messed up. Well, they still judge them because you told them they were really messed up, so they're apprehensive about ever talking to them. So that's the reason why they judge people, is because they learn so from their absolute nutter parents all the time. Understand that you judge as an adult. People don't understand that you should judge as an adult, but you should. You should absolutely judge people based on their merits and non-merits. If they refuse to pay their bills on time, then understand they're probably hiding something. If they're poor at all, understand they could have drug problems. The reason why those bills aren't getting paid. It's okay to make that assumption. Don't assume that they're just completely taken and downtrodden by a system that hates them and makes them hurt. Because there were terrible people in New Orleans too, and no one even gave a shit sometimes, and it pissed me off. And we can talk about that right now if we want to. We can talk about the hundreds and hundreds of young, stupid little black boys and white boys that thought that they could fuck every bitch they possibly could. Any bitch, any woman, basically. And I would constitute, even when they were like 12 and 11 and 10, they would constitute, oh, drinking, burning liquor. A song made about a young pedophile boy. Because they were drinking, burning liquor because they were learning from their parents. So they would understand that that's what happened. And sometimes they would see their parents or hear their parents having sex. And that's what they wanted. So that's what they would go out and do. They would have sex with little 13-year-old girls and 14-year-old girls, and they wouldn't get pregnant. And they would wonder why. Because they were just going through those periods, and they didn't care. So they would keep doing it into their late teens and early 20s. So that's the reason why they got picked up by the fucking cops and beat the shit out of, because they were selling weed. It's because they knew that they were selling weed to 13-year-old girls they were fucking. Hence the reasons why the drug dealer always wants to come into your house and find out what you're about, because they're trying to gain information. Girls, they can fuck later. So, men think that they're in control of their own situation. A lot of dudes think that they're just like the best dudes ever. There's nobody out there for them. I think they're not going to get caught. And it's the funniest shit in the world to me. Because everyone's like, oh, there's so much racism in everywhere and systematic racism. I understand that happened a lot in everywhere all the time. And then they had certain dudes that would literally take their girls to fuck either little boys or big men. So that's what happened. And then the reason why certain people were denied access to certain rights. So that's the reason why I don't give a shit about racist motherfuckers, because most of the time they have a reason for hating the fuck out of a certain culture sometimes. And black racists have a reason to hate whites, because that's the reason why. Because white people were doing it too. But some white people didn't give a shit about those white people, because they would protect those people and keep them from doing things. See, this is the reason why both sides did it. Because I know both sides did it. And that's why I'm Native American. It's not that Native Americans didn't do it or didn't go crazy. It's just the least amount of Native Americans did it. So that's the reason why. So it just didn't happen often. Because they wanted racial supremacy. Black Panthers and a bunch of different kinds of actual racists who were actually racist, not just people who handed out pamphlets, okay? People who handed out pamphlets were brainwashed into thinking that they were just handing out pamphlets. And this is very, very, taboo, so taboo. Not really at all. So understand that that's what happened, is people would want to keep those people around, so they would have racial supremacy. They'll be able to keep themselves and keep other people around them, and this dude's getting murdered. Go. Just keep backing up. Son of a bitch. All right. That dude might have had an auto hook onto an aimbot. Well, he also might have had some stability stuff. That's why I will tell you, is I will never start any game in the middle of a match. And then I know that some people are cheating, because it's a big thing in China and people actually make money off of it. So why wouldn't it be lucrative in America? Because there are no actual sexual trafficking understanding of real. People that cheat and sell profiles, make money, buy drugs, and then hurt kids. Well, it doesn't have to all be terrorism, I guess. What they need to understand is, yes, they'll go after the bad people, but then there's bad people that will show up at their doorstep sometimes and then manipulate their kids into buying some sort of thing that they can track them with, and that's the reason why. Certain phones that you can jailbreak. Jailbroken phones are all have tracker devices on it. They don't want to say it and believe that they have resources to be able to do those things, like Cicada 6969, huh? Different things, and different people believe that hackers aren't inherently bad. I'll give them a little bit more of an actual clue and what's actually bad that hackers actually do all the time is sell information to different people all the time. Like people's information all the time. So what happens to that information is usually siphoned off into certain different subcategories, like if they have children, if they have parents, if they have the elderly that are all constantly taking care of them because they have something to do and they won't be completely noticing someone following them. Understand that this information, this metadata that everyone sells of each other, sometimes even Google can sometimes participate in and not even know it. These are all the things that I research. These are all the things that I get into when I go into certain rabbit holes. These are the things that I understand that my dad did sometimes, is leaving certain irradiated things behind so that certain civilizations just wouldn't make it. Because of their basis upon everything being pedophilia and manipulating children into doing exactly what they want them to do. And also this whole thing about Mexico being the United States of Mexico is because they're a scam. Because half of the states, or even 2/3 of the actual states, are uninhabitable desert. They don't have irrigation systems. They don't have anything to bring water to the actual place. But they'll tell you that they're a state. They're states. And America's never said anything about that because they're a scam. Because they constantly have people leaving those places. Because of people saying, we're going to put your village in the middle of a fucking desert. And we're going to constantly give you water. Understandably, they're actually using sexual trafficking to do that. They're bringing that water to them because they're wanting to be able to fuck their kids and their friends and their families, and then they keep them in those little villages to be able to help make, selling to those villages. They want more people to go there so they can control the water source. So when they control the water source, give you bottled water, and when they don't give you bottled water, they say so an order didn't go through. This happens all the time. But we'll fix it. All you have to do is sign a census. That's what happens in Mexico. Literally all the time with people who want to get away from all the things and away from all the cities where all the people, all the older guys are fucking girls who are like 14 and 15. So that's what happens. So I understand that's the reason why we don't like them, okay? The reason why America is better is we have laws indicating the age of certain girls and saying that there is a certain number that we cannot go past as far as down in a woman's age, as far as fucking goes. So that's the reason why. That's the whole reason why. Because other people think they can get away with shit here, and they don't know why they mysteriously die. They don't know why Bill Cosby might mysteriously die at any point in time. Just to let him know. Just let him understand and be afraid of it, so he makes more mistakes than he can ever think of, and thinks that his entire career is going to be reinstated, instead of actually just understanding that he's going back to court for a separate set of charges that are probably going to stick this time. It's funny to think that people are like, they're like happy and stuff when they get out of jail, and they think they're gonna like completely revamp their career when they go back to wherever they go, and they're constantly get their Coca-Cola thing. But no, he didn't call it Coca-Cola, he called it Coke. I think this funny part is in the 80s, people were definitely incriminating themselves. Extremely, for a very long time. It was just the funniest thing to watch. And the reason why it was funny is because you knew what he was doing is giving coke to girls and giving a bunch of different things to girls to be able to like manipulate them into getting sexual favors and stuff like that. And then what he would do sometimes is he would find a girl that he had already fucked. Find a girl maybe like 17, 18, 19 or something like that, within that range, and he would give them drugs, like a bunch of drugs. They would say that these drugs aren't that powerful, so you can take whatever you want to, however you want to. Because I know, because I've used this to literally hurt people before. That I know. It's not actually a thing. You don't lie to that person. It's just you're saying that you're taking something and your tolerance is higher than theirs, and then they think that their tolerance is high because of smoking with you. I understand that's happened a lot before when I didn't like people, and I made them get super fucking high for no fucking reason. It's hilarious to me. That's why I do it. I'm not trying to kill people, but I understand somebody died because of it. I didn't kill anyone. I just understood that he was trying to have sex with every girl in the city, no matter what their age. I did a little bit of recon and understood him to be constantly owning certain businesses, like certain tattoo shops and certain different places they would hang out at. And then I understood them to hang out at certain high schools. So that's what I did. That's what I realized. I did a little bit of recon. I wanted to give him a little bit higher than he actually was, just to make sure that he knew that he didn't have like the resistance that I have to certain drugs. And then he took a really hard dose of heroin, and then he died. So that's what happens to those kind of people. They think that they're better than everyone else because they know the secret that all life itself was completely made a long time ago. It's like, that's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. It's called being crazy. And also, no one should believe it because that didn't happen. It didn't happen, and don't believe it. We're not in a simulation. Stop acting like we're in a simulation. We're not. Because that's what gives these dudes the excuses to think the way they do. And when they understand that it's a mental illness and a mental disability, you can change it. But that's funny when they keep killing themselves. Understand, I don't give a shit about that person technically. Other people did. That's why I'm not going to say his name right now. Understand, I don't need to hide from the law because it's funny. To me, all the time. I don't have to hide from anyone or think that anyone will snitch on me because I didn't do anything wrong. That's the difference between me and someone. I can say the things I did and still be innocent. They can and then be guilty. It's funny to me when people think that they have huge tolerances to things and they smoke in competition. And that's why I wanted Weed Fest to come out, but nobody wanted Weed Fest, I guess. I wanted Broken Lizard to make Weed Fest and just kept on beating around the bush and making other shit that wasn't as good. So that's what I can do to people, that they think my, tolerance to things is low, and then I act a little bit drunker than I am, or a little bit higher than I am. That's why it's funny to me, because someone who wanted to hurt people killed themselves on accident, and that's funny. That's why I believe that both parties are wrong. And if they did a little recon, they're able to find out exactly what their vices are and completely and utterly exploit them. I mean, not knowing. I didn't even know that I was even doing this at the time. But as I was finding out certain things, I mean, I knew I was trying to find out exactly why he was trying to hang out with high school kids. Because he wanted to sell them drugs and fuck them. That's the reason why a lot of kids did those things in New Orleans, is because they wanted to fuck high school girls. I don't know why they wanted to fuck high school girls. They thought their pussy was tighter. Understandably so. I still wanted to murder those people. But I wanted to set an example first. For them to think that, like, if my drug, like, stuff is bad, or I don't know how to smoke weed, and I don't get high a lot because I have a low tolerance. Like, my dad smoked weed when he was 8 years old. Understand that I inherently have a high tolerance. I don't have any weapon out. I'm a dumbass. I can talk about, that's the difference between certain people who do crime and then certain people who are borderline genius like me. They hide from the law and don't speed. I can go at least 2 miles above the speed limit because I know I don't give a shit about what's in my car. They'll always have to hide and then always use people that are that fucking bad and terrible and be associated with those terrible people and then ruin their reputation, and I get to play video games and smoke cigarettes. Because carbon by whatever the fuck you're talking about, it doesn't even matter. It separates after an hour. It's the reason why when you smoke in a room, nothing happens. The reason why the smoke dissipates is if the smoke dissipates, it's not carbon monoxide anymore. Fuck! It's not. Just stop acting like it's the same thing and you're a greenhouse gas. Conservatives, if you keep talking about carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, just say it's an oxide. That's what happens. We breathe in oxygen and we don't breathe in all the oxygen and we breathe out oxygen and a little bit of spit comes out. You fucking morons. So, I know science, and it didn't make sense to me at first. Hence the reason why I had to come up with these certain versions of science that aren't accepted yet, but will be eventually. By the scientific community. I love that planetarium. It's so fucking hilarious. I'm making a reference to South Park. They had a dude that would literally take the cheese out of everything. Because, no, cheese are inherently Christian. It's something funny to me that is hilarious. Teas are inherently Christian. So you're just denying Christian logic to be able to put things in your words. That's the reason why it's funny. It's the reason why the reference is hilarious. Because I'm technically Wiccan and pagan and all that other different shit and stuff like that. Pagan, naturalist, agnostic. I don't feel like destroying any goats' lives to be able to summon things. It's funny. It's hilarious. I will eat a horse, though, if I'm in the wild. And yes, I will eat that goat after I slaughter it, obviously. Quickly and painlessly, you assholes. Cutting the necks of fucking cows. Pissing me the fuck off. I'm gonna murder those people. To do that is me. Why don't you just fucking not like try to kill it? Like, why don't you not like let it bleed out, motherfucker? Just break its heart or some shit. Just stop its heart. Just be like, shoot it in the heart. And if it has more than one, shoot it twice. It's hot. It'll numb them. They'll be like, wow, thanks for just shooting me. Or shoot them in the head. Doesn't matter. Just shoot them in the head. Or don't try to chop their head off, because they'll run around a little bit. And they'll be like really numbed out. I don't know. Just don't fucking do that anymore with their fucking calves and shit. It's fucking annoying. And I see a fat guy trying to chase a chicken. That's the most hilarious thing I've ever seen, because chickens are cannibals all the time. You want to say that there's conservation and like you have to treat animals with respect because they treat you with respect. They don't, so fuck them. They fucking don't. No, they fucking don't. Also, plants respect your ability. They breathe out oxygen. So do fucking we. All right? We have more relation to the banana than the monkey. So understand that's why we breathe out oxygen. You asshole. That's why it's called carbon dioxide. You ass piece of shit. These stupid science jokes. Immediately, that's the reason why you'll get science jokes and you'll be like, wow, science is just lying to everyone for no fucking reason. Good job, science. Understand that you're exactly like everyone else now, science. You're just literally no one cares about you anymore, science. And when stupid religions get involved with science, they make dumb, idiotic things that hurt people for no reason to prove their point. Fuck. They're stupid and they think that bad things happen to bad people. So that's what happens. They're literally a mafia that works for the United States. It's funny as hell to understand these things and realize that no, there aren't many pedophiles in America. There are just a lack of records keeping them actually safe. So I understand that China does it a certain way. They catch their pedophiles, they realize they did something wrong, and they're like, okay, you got to go into an internment camp and for a certain amount of years, and you have to work off your debt to society and everything like that. And if you do anything wrong, we'll put you to death. So awesome. You'll put someone to death. Good job, China. We won't use that paperwork. Oh my God. We won't use paperwork because paperwork means nothing to America. Because it didn't before America was around. There are certain groups, certain people who are haters, given haters. And the reasons why I don't like them is because they have to hide from the police just as much as the person they're trying to stop. These biker groups and a bunch of different people who do different things all the time, they create certain amounts of street justice. They aren't taken down by the police all the time. And I wonder why they're not. Because sometimes they murder people, and it's just sometimes they get paid for it too. But that's the point, is we have a mafia, China has nothing, and then that's the reason why that's what happens. So it's really fun to understand that, like, certain people will meet their inevitable demise. And that's the reason why I don't have to say anything about the things that I've done. But I can say that I smoked some bomb-ass weed with a dude, walked off, and he thought that because he smoked that bomb-ass weed, and the dude said that he was just the bombest weed ever, that's the point, is because I was drugged before, right? I was given a cocktail, all right? A big cocktail when I was younger. And that's the reason why I kept thinking those things. I was hurt by a lot of different people in a certain different construct of actual culture. And yes, I was hurt by them, and that's the reason why I don't trust them. The reason why I don't trust people is because you need an aura of respect around you, a thing of respect around you constantly for me to be able to trust you. For me to be able to understand who you are and why things are happening around you. So just understand that that's the reason why I can say things and they can't. They have to say things to certain people so that things will be exonerated from the record, because they're actually doing recon to stop kids from getting abused. I know them all to be able to be fighters against each other back in the olden days, and I know that as soon as this is over with, or these people lose their jobs, they will go back to those roots. And that is why I don't trust them. Biker groups and things that my dad trusted when he was younger, and my dad thinking that, hey, that's why I won't watch my kid, because he's responsible and he's awesome. And no, he should have been there when I got abused and a bunch of different things. He was literally a block away, and that's the reason why I should have never fucking been in that situation. It's not exactly my dad's fault, but it is his fault for not being a proper guardian. I love my dad, and that's the reason why I didn't trust him with certain things that I was going to say. The reason why I didn't tell him that I knew there were certain girls that he decided that he was going to set me up with. And this is the point where I get into families and manipulation of different children. And the reason why China does what it does. And the reason why China is good at what it does. China will actually enslave certain families. They will, because of the way that they got their property was through certain drugs being sold and certain different things. And that's why they took back a bunch of properties in certain neighborhoods that were actually certain brothels back in the day. It all had to do with history and the way that they actually did things. People in America don't actually do that sometimes. They don't blame a person on what their history was. Or, understandably, repossess their actual things because they didn't have any laws back then. So understand what China's doing isn't just outlandish or anything like that. It's what other countries do slowly but surely sometimes. But understand that that's the reason why they're doing it. They're literally stopping people from being sexually trafficked again in case their economy starts to boom, which I'm sure it's probably about to. And that's the reason why those billions and billions of dollars left. Because it was used by a bunch of different people, and I'm understanding it to be probably something that had something to do with 12 gig. I mean, not 12 gigs. It has something to do with sexual trafficking. So, okay, he's going to surround me and do stupid shit, I guess. I'm going to stand right here. Okay. I have a shotgun, so I think it's a shotgun. Oh, there's a pistol. All right. There we go. So I don't hate particularly anyone. What I do hate is people who insinuate upon themselves. Who are insistent. There we go. Give me that shit. Let's go. Damn it! And how the fuck did he know I wasn't gonna like look at him or anything? Thought I was gonna go to the other side, and he just waited 5 seconds and then came back out. Cookies are delicious. I love these cake cookies. They're amazing. And it's also the reason why I'm a fat boy. Because I love food. I absolutely love food. And I don't want anyone thinking of me that I am supposed to be skinny or to avoid sugars and things that help me with my collagen and help me constantly heal from certain injuries all the time. So understand if you have a lack of sugar That's the reasons why sometimes, and there's a reason why I wanted to like tell people this, and the reasons why certain people get cancers is because they're not eating enough. They don't realize that there are certain bodies trying to create something, and that's what you eventually turn into. Is a freaking molecular part of your body starts to completely change you into what they think is something else. So what you think is something else. So people can think themselves and not eat into cancer. So I hate California and all their stupid notions about how sawdust can create cancer. I want to punch them eventually. I want to knock his contacts out of his face. That stupid governor with red eyes. I want to knock his contacts out of his fucking face. But there are tons of things that cause cancer that aren't stupid and sawdusty. Powder does not cause cancer. It causes urinary tract infections. That's all it causes. That's all it will ever cause. Don't think that a powder on your crotch will create something like that. If it gets inside your penis, that's all it will create. Either a kidney stone or a bladder stone, because bladder stones can happen. It's just understand they happen. And then when a person's urethra is big enough to be able to push it through, it doesn't harm anything. But that's what happens. You just get urinary tract infections. If you try to put powder on your organs, you can get cancer, but that's the only fucking way. So don't tell me, California, anything about science anymore, because I don't trust anything they say. Because they probably eat people by now. It's like, we got serial killers down south, but you assholes are fucking crazy. It's like, oh, there was so little water that that 14-year-old woman had to suck dick to survive. No. Somebody could have just gave her water. It's illegal to hold water against someone when an actual temperature is a certain way. It's illegal. And if you decidedly understand that that's the reason why that all the dudes she sucked dick stuff are probably in jail. That's why you don't blame the woman, okay? When in a sexual trafficking incident, she doesn't know that it's wrong sometimes. She's bred to believe these things and stuff like that, and also bred into an institution of people constantly giving her things like drugs and things like that. So when they ask to get their dick sucked for the same thing, they think that, oh, well, yeah, he gave me it free for so many times. That's the reason why I'll suck his dick now. There you go. It's called manipulation, grooming, into believing something is actually helping you when it's not. So realize by most bikers kind of like gave up on that whole situation, realizing that prostitution is probably pretty much fucked up and terrible if it's not in Las Vegas. Understand, it's still fucked up in Las Vegas, but it's legal there. And you can go to Las Vegas any fucking time you want if you have enough gas in the car. And enough money to take a piss somewhere and say drink some fucking water, because literally you don't need to fucking eat food for weeks. So don't fucking play with me about bullshit. I know what happens when people decidedly just stop deciding to drink fucking water. I know my friend Brandon decidedly goes crazy and is amazing at video games, but somehow can't fucking get a job. Or can't keep a job. That's what happens to most dudes who just don't drink water. My dad decidedly did not do that either. He decided to make me get him water. And then he becomes completely and utterly dependent upon that. And my sister decided to do it too. And that's why she's a fat bitch now. So that's the reason why. That's why I called DHS on her bitch ass. And I will be honest about it if my sister ever asked. Completely honest. I will not go angrily into that dark night. I will understand and make them understand that I love my nieces, and I don't want my sister doing heroin in front of them. Or sending dudes and creepy guys that are named uncles, or uncles that don't understand that I'm their actual uncle. They'll understand that I want to murder them, but I'm not. I'm just gonna show them something, and they're gonna probably overdose, hopefully. Because dragons are real. If anybody wants to understand that dragons are real, they're actually the virus in Antarctica right now. The little bacteria that are moving all around and constantly, completely and utterly just okay for no reason. It's because there's high volumes of little ice on top of them. Miles and miles of ice. Or not really miles, but like 1.2 miles of a thick sheet of ice on top of a lake. The reason why I know they're dragons, because I know they're real, is because there are also different kinds of different serpents in also many other folklore. Hence the reason why everyone was afraid of the coast. In all religions, everyone was afraid of the coast. Every single person was afraid of water, bodies of water, or everything like that. And hence the reason why certain animals don't exist today. They probably put them somewhere very, very far away. And those are probably the reasons why they're actually in the lake to begin with. Understand that dragons themselves evolve very fast. I know this because serpents evolve very fast in biblical times. If you look at it archaeologically, serpents still exist. Those people are dead. There's your clue right there, you fucking morons. Understand that half of that population was in their bellies. The other half murdered each other because they're crazy. Understand that was probably the intention of the actual dragon. Understand how fast dragons can evolve, or serpents. Serpents that get legs inside of water usually come on land and eat things. So understand that very much so. Serpents the snakes, they choose not to evolve because they are super dry and they like being super dry. Why is that a thing? Because they were technically domesticated at one point. Go. Ha! I didn't get him. That would have been awesome. So somehow I couldn't pick up that goddamn shotgun, but he could pick up whatever fucking gun he felt like. So that's the reason why sometimes these servers are being manipulated. So understand they're being manipulated underneath you, and I shouldn't get mad at the game. I should get mad at the hackers. So yes, that's the reason why I'm mad at the hackers. And understand that these people don't want that thing. The people who are conservationists, who are actually manipulating everyone around them, they don't want these things to constantly get out of this lake that they put them in eons ago. And that's one of the things that's probably in the Vatican, is the existence of dragons. China decided they allowed them to be in their culture because they were friends and they would feed them sometimes. Ones that flew, that had wings. They would literally say they didn't have wings, but they had wings sometimes. And that's why I called warrens, or warrens, okay? They have 4 things. They evolve to be kind of like dogs or something like that. Kind of domesticated, but not actually. If you put them in a cage, they'll still try to set you on fire. Understand, the thing it takes to be able to be that thing is a constant stream of methane from their actual bowels. So understand, shitting out of your mouth, the whole thing that like South Park was hilarious about and everything like that. They're actually talking about the actual evolutionary trait of taking gas from inside your bowels and then bypassing everything, being able to have it's a callus on the inside of the throat when things eat like live things like seagulls eating entire rats and stuff like that. It's what they're all trying to become. If you didn't fucking understand. They're all trying to get that little callus in the back of their throat that clacks or snaps and creates a little spark. And that's what happens to that methane gas as it comes out. So that's the reason why dragons could breathe fire and everyone's fucking retarded. So understand that's the reason why it was in Chinese culture, because yes, dinosaurs and dragons existed when humans were around. That's why we have little pictures of them and reasons and things of their actual evolution. They weren't just guesses, you bitch. They weren't just guesses. They weren't just guesses, because there were pictures of different dinosaurs on cave paintings that they suppressed all the time. Every single time they find a cave painting, they literally don't look at the dinosaurs and look at the deer. Oh, understand that's the reason why also too that some cave paintings don't have or depict dinosaurs at all, is because they thought they were evil spirits. Because cavemen were fucking stupid. Sometimes, if you got crazy enough in the sun that they were constantly baking in, they would fuck animals, and then those animals would try to help them in certain ways, not because of them having sex with them, because of them interacting with them, because they didn't know things. And then what would happen is those people would eat them. So if you ever found a fossilized tiger or a tiger in ice or something like that, understand there's human parts in their body, and they're used to eating human parts because people were fucking dumb and tried to use them as pets. There you go. And then over time, we were able to domesticate certain things by knowing what they wanted and knowing how they wanted things, like certain salts, certain beef jerkies that people should be having on them when they trail hike in a goddamn wilderness that is completely and utterly unforgiving. But that's the reason why. People are just dumb. They're just like, I don't even care, man. It's like nobody's getting, I took a shower today. No fucking animal's gonna be. I understand there are salts in your body all the time. You may not give off hormones, but you're still giving off salts because of the salts that are in the shampoos that you have that activate the salts and oils in your hair. So it's the reason why if you use conditioner, it doesn't matter and you did nothing for your fucking hair. Because lotions have honey in them inherently. And maybe an adapted honey like cocoa butter or a lotion like Aquaphor or something like that. I understand it has a distinct smell to it because of the salts and sugars inside of it. Processed salts and sugars, but still salts and sugars nonetheless. So even if you take a shower with chemical hair, you'll still be giving off a smell when that animal comes near you. Understand that when animals are far away, that's how they can track you with certain salts on your body. But understand they don't want to track you, they're foraging for food. If they follow you, they're foraging for food. They're not hunting. Well, it's the reason why they'll hit you and attack you just to stop you from being dominant in their territory. That's why they're foraging, because they're in their own territory. When they're hunting, they're not in their own territory. Understand that I know these things not because of being a Native American, but from researching things constantly when I was a 5-year-old and no one understanding it. People are stupid inherently. They will do dumb things. They will think that you know nothing about their lives. They'll think you know nothing about who they are, about what they do, about where they're going with their lives. Understand, if you can see the things beforehand, you will understand the things after. If you see the fact that they have constant people coming over to their house, understand they don't have a lot of friends. That's why they invite a bunch of people over. Because they're lonely, and they don't want to be alone. They don't want to be alone. Understanding that a bunch of friends over your house every single fucking night does not mean you have friends. It means people are using you. That's why. It means people are constantly using you or trying to promote you for being the thing that they are doing. That's what they're doing. I understand human behavior as well. People need to understand this constantly. I understand my mom constantly gets worried about me and says that, oh, I have terrible things, and if I'm schizoaffective, then I need to get my medication immediately, or else I need to go back to the hospital. It's like, no, Mom, understand that stress itself activates what I do. Okay, like why I have the reality that I hate of everyone, literally me being suspicious of as a 5-year-old. So that's ingrained in me. But understand that literally there are governments that do the exact same thing and get taken completely seriously. So what the fuck's the problem? Nothing, I guess. I'm gonna get some water. I'll be right back. Because sugar makes your mouth dry, if you didn't fucking know. there's so many things that people don't know, and just gotta be like, hey, you know what? You're not an idiot for not knowing them, but you are an idiot for expecting that no one will ever find an answer. We give you dry mouth because it's processed sugars through a plant. Sugar gives you dry mouth because when it gets in a paste form in your mouth, which understands that it makes your mouth sort of pasty, because that's the reason why. I understand that cigarettes don't do that. You know why? Because they're not made from the same plant. Even when this plant is dry, it's still wet. That's the reason why. There's called a molecular wetness. It's kind of like the mass of a plant being more liquid inside of it than the actual plant itself. Hence the reason why tobacco leaves are dried out, but they're still wet. Why? How? Because that's the way they were made. They were made in a plant inside of a factory, trying to work with different hybrid plants to find some sort of thing to either smoke or to be able to have in case of certain things following you. Animals following you. Hence the reason why you don't need to inhale the smoke to be able to get rid of your scent and your trail. So if you're taking a trail and a trail hike, understand that you can just literally light something on fire, like a cigarette, put it in your mouth, and just puff and blow out the smoke. It will get rid of your scent. It's the reason why Native Americans came up with them. Native Americans came up with them, other countries. It's the reason why they don't put chemicals or anything like that and other things. They know what it is. It's something to calm you down, to be able to calm your nerves down, because you might be being tracked. And also to cover up your scent of animals that might want to track you. And that's why it's there. Look at that. We got right there in that one. I don't promote this product, but goddamn do I love cigarettes. Understand that in the 70s and 50s and 60s, everyone got obsessed with the flavor of everything. So Japan came up with different flavors. Everybody was like, no, I don't want to sell to kids. But why? Do you want kids to die of terrible fucking dog bites? No, I don't want that. Well, maybe you should give them something to set on fire so they can actually do things. Hence the reason for a lot of fireworks, I guess. Fireworks initially were actually used to scatter different animal packs, like flare guns and a bunch of different things that would see the light and they would run from it, like cockroaches. And also understand that when you shoot fireworks, there's a concussion boom. So when you're using fireworks, you're hurting your ears all the time. So if you like fireworks as the thing to do fun things with, understand you're just kind of like pushing animals back into the forest while also hurting your ears. Oh, God. So that's the reason why fireworks aren't that good for you. If you shoot fireworks and understand it's fun, using earplugs or earmuffs isn't going to stop you from enjoying an actual night out on either July 4th whatever feeling you do, whatever thing it is, doesn't matter. So understand that there are people with bleeding hearts, okay? These people with bleeding hearts always want to protest about something, but they never want to change anything, and it's annoying as shit. Because they don't believe the system works, but they want to change the system. So you have to be in the system to change the system. Understand that in order to change a graphics card inside of a PS4, you have to be a part of the development team. You can't just go, hey guys, I think this should be this way, and this other way. I can talk about society and change society because I'm in society. Understand that's the reason why you would be able to change a PS4. The system works, okay? The system always has worked, the PS4. I use it as a metaphor anytime someone says the system's broken. I say I play PS4 all the time. It works fine. That's the reason why, and I'm getting a PS5. Because it works so well. That's the reason why. It's completely metaphoric. No one gets it yet, and I love it. I love that fact. I love that fact that no one gets it. Everyone thinks I'm just making some crazy. I'm so crazy. I'm schizoaffective, and that's all the time. I'm just making up shit that I think is funny, and it's just wrong, and everyone's just like terrible. And also children, and how the hell is he touching them? I'm not. I am not one of those people. I'm a gamer. I game. I play games for literally generations of games. Generations of games that people loved and had a fun time with. I don't have a fun time with those games because they're terrible. So understand that RuneScape and all those other different games that are based off trading, people are mad because they don't have a sense of independence. They don't look out to see any sense of independence outside. They focus internally. Hence the reason for their stupid game and their dumb, idiotic notion of thinking that anything they do in that game ever makes any sense. What they can do in that game is they can work up a profile, gain money, and then buy drugs with it, and then sell those drugs to kids. So that's the reason why America needs to tighten the fuck up and know that that's the reason why certain things were happening in Australia to begin with. Because there were people that were going there trying to say they want peace or in their culture, and all they would get was raped and killed by certain people who were sexually trafficking people and didn't want anyone to know. So that's why they're cutting people's heads off, to send a message they won't come back. So they can fuck kids. That's what we're going to do. They're going to fuck kids, kill women whenever the fuck they fucking felt like it. And they understand that living in the desert is going to be terrible in about a year. So, because all the ghost teams that are actually there and people don't know about are all doing recon right now. It's wondering why everyone's just sitting down, having a wonderful glass of champagne, wondering, man, just Americans gone, man. Completely gone. We can do anything we want. We can fuck kids like we used to do all the time. We were writing down all that shit that everyone was doing. We can fuck kids later on, and that's what they do. They fuck kids. They do. They fuck kids on a regular basis. And it is terrifying and terrible. And understand that we are never going to get out of Afghanistan. And Joe Biden, if he gets ever paid from any cent of everything and doesn't put that back into the economy, I personally will go smack him in the fucking mouth. And I hope I break his jaw, because the Russian game was just really fun to me. And I thought that was like the best way to probably like teach him a lesson in case he ever felt like fucking doing anything terrible or hurting anyone. That with all of his secret telling that he was doing to different 5-year-olds around town. And giving medals to Obama and Joe Biden for doing such amazing sitting down and writing things. Oh, like, yeah, amazing talk words, sitting down writing things. God, you guys deserve a fucking medal, huh? Not the dude that literally fucking like shot a bunch of people and then ruined a bunch of Taliban's lives because they were touching kids. But you guys, man, you guys, Obama, totally a celebrity, man. He deserves a medal. Everybody deserves a medal. And then they deserve to get that medal shoved up their ass. Just like Trump and all of his stupid money that he doesn't give people. Because you're a Republican. Because he didn't have to give people money. He didn't have to do any of that shit. He didn't have to pay immigrants their actual things. Well, maybe he does. But that's the reason why he didn't want to do that. Because he didn't want to pay immigrants. Because he thinks they all have diseases. And they don't. They're just immigrants. They're not mindless zombies eating people. Those were the only savages back in the day. Mindless zombies eating people, and what they would look like, people were like, that's racist, that doesn't look like the dude that actually killed you. It's like, well, I'm making a journalistic statement that this race actually allowed and promoted this stuff, hence the reasons why I didn't have a good time at that country. So that's why those people have to change it. And in order for them to change it, I have to make it look like them. So that's the reason why they made it look like them, not because of some racist thing. It's because of understanding that everything that in a certain part of certain places that people were doing things in, and understandably fucking children. They understood that they could do anything they wanted to as far as tribes go. They could change their laws in certain generations, and after generation, people just listened to them all the fucking time. And it was annoying as fuck, and people didn't give a shit about it anymore, and they left and told people. And when everyone left and told people yeah, cool, awesome, complete lag, and then he shoots me. That's cool. He was standing there the whole time, though, probably, so he should probably understand that that's the reason why I'm going to kill him next match. Probably permanently. Well, I'm not going to kill him, but someone's going to stop his actual thing from happening. So, this is funny. So people don't like to use tracks on Instagram or anything like that. They use a VPN on their phone, everything like that. I say awkward shit and dumb shit to get tracked, so people will find out exactly what people are thinking. I want to get tracked. I want people to get caught before they have to indefinitely be killed off by the radiation or something that the CIA does that no one should talk about. Oh my god. Well, understand that that's the reason why the CIA did those things, like in the beginning, in the 80s and stuff like that. They wanted to appear stupid to people. They wanted to appear like no one knows what you're doing. And that's the reason why human genomes and certain psychologies have not surpassed Freudian knowledge or certain Freudian theories. Hence the reason why people think that they can get away with whatever the fuck they want to. And they can't. And when they have weird noses, when they have a weird nose, you ever see somebody that have not like a long or pointed nose or anything like that, a weird nose, like a weirdly like collagen deficient, like, but it's like it looks like a cartoon nose. Like it looks like someone has a cartoon nose. Have you ever seen somebody with a cartoon nose? Because that's what happens, and that's the reason why like cartoons are made that way, to make kids are victims of incest breeding. Feel okay. That's the reason why certain people had certain pointed noses. SpongeBob is certainly absurd and different things like that, to give people solace sometimes in certain incest-ridden families. The reason why they're funny is because they want people to be funny and jolly. That's the reason why. They want people to be funny and jolly, even if they came from a bad background or got and completely did not come into the world, understandably, on good terms. They know they are created equal. Understand that weed and a bunch of different other drugs and things like that can help them with every disability they have, or learning disability they have, as of everything that happens. And that's the real truth. That's the actual truth of what Americans really, really did for a lot of different kids who were actually made through incest. And it sucks. It really sucks, because a lot of women thought that they were going to get away with what they ever got away with, because they got away with so much all the time. And that's the reason why sometimes they would go crazy and actually eat or fuck animals. Hence the reason why Salem witches weren't witches at all. They just fucked animals and had incest babies with their cousins and brothers. So that's what happened. That's what really happened in Salem. It's what really happened in Salem, Massachusetts, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's a state, it's a place, but that's the real history. Don't say that when we were conjuring up demons, and that's why they were too powerful for the American government to hold, they're not real. It's not real. The devil isn't real. Being possessed is dumb, because that's what your animalistic instincts are. Understanding that you're primal by nature, okay? Everyone is primal by nature. We all may be talking like we're amazing and stuff like that, but when we hear something and feel something that just isn't right, we get angry and sad and hurtful, and we have to go to the hospital to be understandably known that we should have had marriage counseling to begin with, Amber, but it didn't happen because you decided that you were the victim, Amber, and that's the reason why. Because you were just the victim, Amber. You were just a victim. Understand that victims will fucking cry wolf in any situation sometimes. Even when the situation is just me trying to get her to admit that she doesn't want to move to New Orleans and never wanted to in the first place. She just wanted to fuck me and then throw me in the hospital when I didn't want to say anything that she wanted to hear. So that's the reason why I got pissed off every time, because I knew she was going to throw me in the hospital, and then I baited myself into it because I thought that if she loved me, then she'd get me out. And she usually did, but she only got me out when she was ready to, probably because she fucked someone else. Or because she just wanted a little bit of peace with her kids and didn't want to constantly think about all the things that were in the world. Because she thought that because that's what inherently what happens to religions that don't really like go into cities and stuff like that. They have this kind of fear that something's going to happen to them immediately if they do. So that's the reason why a lot of women fear the city. A lot of women fear the city because they don't fear black dudes or anything like that. They fear the dudes who were like worker, like drones in slavery. So they didn't fear the dudes who were inside cooking their food. They feared the dudes who were outside thinking that they were just violent assholes. Some of them were. Understand that culture doesn't completely unacknowledge someone from being a terrible person. Okay? Understand that being sexually active does not make you a good person. Being actively not racist and giving to charities doesn't make you a good person. Okay? It makes you manipulatable. That's all. That's it. If you don't know the charities that actually work, then you're just being manipulated into giving money to people who just want to steal your money and buy houses with it all the time. So just understand that there may not be a lot more people left that are actually just terrible, but understand they literally found a dude who was trying to like commission people to give him child pornography inside a child charity. To understand that, yeah, it's scary. It's super scary. No one wants to acknowledge that fact or say anything about that because that story came and went and everyone just didn't say anything about it. So understand that's the reason why things don't happen in America sometimes often. People don't get caught a lot, but the leaders always do, and they give up all the information. Hence the reason why, that's the reason why America is probably kind of better sometimes. It's because people who weren't really involved sometimes don't have to constantly fear or face jail time. And they'll tell on any fucking body they can possibly ever tell on. So understand the reasons why certain things happen, the reason why certain people don't go to jail, and the reason why other people who actually do certain things and are eventually going to get caught will get caught because they've already been reported. This may seem like a personal institution insinuation, but I'm sure you that it's not. Yeah. Not at all. None whatsoever. Never. Could never be. That's right. Now I convince them. I mean, what? No, you convince them. I'm amazing and I'm a good person. I would never do that. That doesn't sound right at all. Yeah, cool. Lag. Awesome. Player touches another player or goes near another player. That's how you know there's lag, I guess. Oh, you nice bitch. I see him. Okay, he's right there. Move back and jump over this fence. Wow, that was awesome. Just covered that, by the way. Check-in time for tournament starts at 5:45. What time is it, baby? I'll be back. It's 5:45. Let's fucking go, baby. We're gonna go to Soul Calibur. We're gonna beast it out. And we're gonna make it happen. I'm coming back in like 5 minutes, baby. Yeah.